So this is the location and the style of our battery disconnect that came with our RV. There's a few reasons why I'm not a fan of this.
How's it going? I'm Jared Gillis. Welcome to another All About RVs. Today we're talking about why I removed our RV battery disconnect inside of the RV. So this is the disconnect that our RV came with that is supposed to disconnect the power coming from the batteries to the rest of the RV. I have a few problems with this one. One, where it was mounted. Number two, I didn't like the way it was installed. It didn't turn everything off to the RV. And number three, I don't really care for the mechanism, the way that it works. So an RV battery disconnect, so what it's supposed to do is you have power coming in and power going out. And when you flip this switch and you pull this little key out, it's supposed to stop the power coming from your batteries to the rest of the RV. So if you needed to work on something or if you're putting it in storage, you want to turn off any supply of power leaving your batteries so that you can save it and not have it be drained and depleted. That's the point of having an RV battery disconnect. So with that purpose and that description, they should all be wired up pretty much the same way. But the problem was in ours is when you disconnect it and you pulled this pin out, it didn't turn power off to everything in the DC system in the RV. Some things were still wired to the battery bank. So it would still deplete it, or I would still have power in some areas. So having something that only kills off half of the battery power going out doesn't really work for me. So when I want to disconnect the power, I want everything disconnected.
Now, the bigger problem for me is having this located in here in the main storage area. So it was right here on the wall, and you could see at that height, if I'm to pull out this bin, it's going to release that if I bump that in any way. And you may not even notice it when it first happens. So trying to track down why we have DC power in some places and not others can really be a pain. So it only takes once or twice doing that before you know to check this first. But just having that be able to turn off so easily is a problem that I would like to avoid. The other thing is the back of this is exposed. So if it's behind a panel where there's nothing else behind it, it's going to be fine. But if I'm having it in this shared wall that goes to another storage on the other side, there had to be a protective barrier to be able to have these hot wires not be connected to anything else. So that was pretty easy to fix. If we move over to this switch, this is what I have enjoyed and liked, and it's worked really well for us. It's because it's all enclosed. So even if I just replaced with this one where that one was at, I'm going to gain a couple of things. I preferred to move it closer to the battery and have everything in one place and not have this switch get beat up in my storage compartment, moving stuff in and out, and have it a little bit more protected. But if I were to mount this in that same spot, I have the ability to keep that all in this bay, and it's all going to be protected in this box. And the great thing about this switch is it's just really easy to see. This is off, this is on, and it allows you to easily switch it, and it's not something that's going to catch easily, more like this lever is going to be inside of the storage bay. Now, what I could have done as a really simple solution is I could have just installed this switch on the opposite side. It would have removed it from that storage bay, but I still wouldn't have been able to have all loads on just one switch without rewiring it. But it would have removed it out of the storage bay and given me the switch that I prefer.
The good thing is these are really affordable too. So 14 bucks, we were able to put one that we like and put it in a location that works better for us in our RV. So I also mentioned that we want to be sure that our trailer brake system is able to connect to the batteries and it's not getting turned off or on. We leave this in the on position when we're towing. It keeps the brakes working. It keeps the battery charged up from the truck while we're driving. So yes, we did remove this, but we did replace it with something that I think is better, easier to use, and has less chance for having a problem with by not having it in a location that's easy to bump or having a mechanism that is easy to disengage. For me, it's a definite win being able to go to this. It's just easy to work. So we have this one that connects to everything inside of the RV, every single load except for the inverter. We have a larger switch that goes to the inverter that can handle the higher amperage. So we just have two disconnects, one that disconnects it from the entire RV and one to the inverter. The other thing that I like about this unit is it's just easy to mount, and it has different ways that you can bring in the wire. So if you wanted to bring the wire from the side, you could pull this little access panel off, then you could have the wires come in and connect the terminals. You have those access points on all 4 sides, so you can configure it however you like. And then it has easy mounting that connects this plate to the back, and then you can screw it to the wall. We have it connected to that divider in between our 2 storage bays, and we don't have any wires dangling into the next bay that we have to protect. It's all connected on 1 bay, and it keeps it nice and clean and simple. Another question that I often get asked when talking about disconnects is, should you put this on the positive or negative side of the battery? I put it on the positive side. It really doesn't matter. I like disconnecting from the positive side, but when I'm disconnecting wires from the battery, I disconnect the negative side first. I want to remove the wires from the negative side of the battery first. The thought behind that is, if you're disconnecting from the positive side first and you have a wrench on there and you contact the frame of the RV, it's going to be a large arc. It can be dangerous. You don't want to cause some kind of arcing situation like that. So if you disconnect the negative side and you contact the frame, it's really not a big deal because your negative side is already connected to the frame. So disconnect the negative side and then disconnect the positive side when you're doing the battery. So adding one of these switches to your RV is pretty simple. For us, we have a more complex system because of the inverter, and we've done diagrams on that. But the principle is going to be the same as if I was just adding it to any RV. One side is going to connect to the battery bank, so 1 wire going from the switch to the battery bank, and then the other side is everything that was connected to the positive side of the battery previously. So that'll have all the RV loads on the other side of the switch. But in a nutshell, that is really the main reasons why we switched over to a switch like this, is because it's just simple. We have less problems with bumping it. I like the install process of this, and we can disconnect everything inside of our RV by wiring this properly. So I hope that helps you guys out. If you're interested in getting a switch like this, there'll be a link down in the description. You can go check it out. It's around $14, but I would do this again in a heartbeat. So I think that's gonna do it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out with your RV and your RVing process. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you wanna see more videos about RVing, hit that subscribe button. And if we don't see you on the road, hopefully we will see you next video.